What's going on, guys? Lawson Turner back with another episode of the Cover 2 podcast, and we have more playoff action coming for you today. We got 4 series starting. We went over the Cavs Magic in the last video, so let's dive into Game 2 of tonight's 4-game slate. At 3:30, we got the Phoenix Suns taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I'm super excited for this series because I was anti-Phoenix Suns when they traded for Bradley Beal. I didn't think it was going to work. 1 ball, 3 scorers, because like we've seen Bradley Beal average 30 over the past couple years. And then he's been injury riddled a little bit, and he was injury riddled this year, but he kind of started putting it on in the tail part of the season. They're playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who've been a top three defense in the NBA all season long, but you don't have to be the best defense all year. It's about who can be the best defense for your series. And not just this series, for the series to come if you can get past your opponent. With that being said, let's look at the Phoenix Suns. We know what they have. Kevin Durant, all-time great player, probably a top 3 scorer ever, depending upon who you ask. If you ask me, he's a top 3 scorer ever. Devin Booker, bucket getter. He's a shot creator. I've been impressed with how good he's turned from pure 2 and just I get buckets, that's what I do, to more of a facilitating role. He's got the ball in his hands a lot more than I expected. I thought it would be, like whenever all 3 of them are on the floor, I thought it would be like a, 50, 30, 20 between him, Durant, and Beal as to who has their ball in their hands. He's done an outstanding job showing me that he's not just a scorer. His playmaking ability has improved over the past year and a half, which I'm happy for him because as much as I don't like Devin Booker, I can respect his game. I can respect the way he plays. There's just something about him I just don't like. And there's just players like that in all leagues that I just don't like for whatever reason. But with that being said, I like his supporting cast. I think that all the pieces that they have, they mesh well. They have, their starting 5, Booker, Beal. Then they go with Grayson Allen, who led the league this year in 3-point shooting percentage. Then you go Durant, which we know what Kevin Durant is, and Yusuf Nurkic, who's a big body, can go get you double-digit rebounds on every night and can play good enough defense, and he's a very skilled big when it comes to passing the rock, and he kind of unlocks their offense because you can't just – it's not that he's a floor spacer, but there are times where you can just drop it off to the elbow or drop it off to the post on Yusuf Nurkic, and he can make good passes and score out of the post. But there's always a but when it comes to the Phoenix Suns. They are going against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, they swept the season series 3-0 in the regular season, but it doesn't matter about regular season previous matchups. It matters about who can be the best 4 games. You need to win 4 of the next 7 over the next 2 weeks to advance. And it's not going to be an easy task for the Phoenix Suns. They're going against a Minnesota Timberwolves team that in game 82 to determine the seeding kind of got a little chippy between Beal and Ant-Man. Ant-Man being Anthony Edwards, one of the new up-and-coming faces of the league, if you ask me. I think he's outstanding. He plays above the rim, and there's not a lot of guys like him. He gets into the lane with bad intentions and hateful, mean thoughts for his opponents in his mind when he gets downhill. He's looking to bam on you. He's not ducking contact. Oftentimes he's initiating contact. He wants to go up and through you. Now, for his supporting cast, we have players like Mike Conley, veteran player, ball distributor. We've got Rudy Gobert. We know what Rudy Gobert is. He's an outstanding defensive player for the regular season. Come postseason time, teams in the past have found ways to, stretch him out from the rim, which we know that that's where Rudy Gobert dominates on the defensive end of the floor, hanging around the rim, blocking shots, cleaning glass, and on the offensive end, oftentimes he sits in the dunker spot for drop passes or alley oops, but he's playing against another big in Carl Anthony Towns that for everything Rudy Gobert is not, Carl Anthony Towns is. Space the floor, good shooter, great touch around the rim. He's not a great defender per se, but he's got the size, he's got the length to make it difficult for players like Kevin. Now, if it goes to a one-on-one ISO late, Durant will get whatever he wants over Cat or whoever Cat's matched up on. But Cat has the length to make it difficult. And I will hammer this nail home in a lot of videos. You can't stop any of these guys. But can you make it difficult and make them get theirs as inefficiently as possible? You can make it tough, you can be physical, and we've seen over the latter part of Kevin Durant's career, physicality is kind of it's a way to get under his skin. Because we saw, last year against Denver, Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown and Bruce Brown kind of get into him and kind of throw him off his game a little bit. And then, like we saw one of, if not his last stint in Brooklyn, what did the Boston Celtics do when they swept him? They got into Durant. Now, I don't know if Cat's the player to be that physical presence against Kevin Durant, but I do think that he's not going to be a slouch when it comes to it due to his size and length. Then off the bench you got Naz Reid, who is in contention for sixth man of the year. He probably gets my vote if Malik Monk would have been healthy for the last handful of games of the year. Malik Monk would have got my vote, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Even if the T-Wolves want to go crazy big, they can. But in a series against Phoenix where they can go really small, really fast. Like, if they want to go if they just want to go pure 5 out, space the floor, drive and kick, small ball, they could trot out there like Beal, Booker, then they could trot out Allen, Royce, and Durant at the 5. Now, granted, they're going to be really small, but that's a way to, if they want to take Rudy Gobert out of the equation entirely, because that eliminates what Rudy does so well and what makes him a great defender, the way he defends the rim. Let's not get it twisted. He's not sticking guys 94 feet. He's not picking them up on the wing and saying, even if they call an ISO, I got him. He's a great help defender around the rim. He protects the rim at a high level, averaging a little over 2 blocks per game this regular season. But with all that being said, I think this is tough because we don't normally see 3-6 matchups being this relatively close. I think this series goes not the distance, but I could easily see this going 6. And if it goes 7, I'm not going to be surprised. These teams are too well of a matchup for both of them. Like both teams have great keys and matchups that they can exploit. For Minnesota to exploit Phoenix, play good defense, get out and run. For Phoenix, it's go small or have Nurk play at like the elbow and then space the floor and make Rudy's rim protection irrelevant. It's tough. This is tough. I think I'm going to take. It's so tough because I could easily see both these teams going over. I could see both these teams going over. Give me the Phoenix Suns in 6. Now, it's not that I think Anthony Edwards, who's been a superstar, he's got that it factor since he's came into the NBA. I've seen a story like this before. A Rudy Gobert, all-star defensive team in the playoffs before in Utah, and it doesn't end well at all. Like, would I be surprised if Minnesota wins the series? No. But I think that the Suns have too much on offense, and defense is defense is great until you don't need it. Not that you don't need defense, because defense is very important in the regular season and in the postseason because none of these games are going to like be just a 30-point rout. Come postseason time, those are really, really, really rare. So these games are going to come down to 1-2 possessions late. And I just think that Phoenix has more shot creators and shot makers than Minnesota does. And that's it. I just like Durant, Booker, Beal, they'll be I don't want to say they'll be gassed by the time whoever comes out of the Denver Lakers series uh, gets to them to where they can't make it to the conference finals. But this is going to be a grinded out series. But I think shot in the playoffs, shot creators and shot makers are what overcomes a lot of deficits that the Phoenix Suns have. With that being said, like I said, that's a kind of double negative. I shouldn't have said that. But Phoenix in 6 is my official pick. Hammer it down. And that is all I have for this video. Would I be surprised if Minnesota takes game 1? No. But give me Phoenix in 6. Alright, that's all I have for you guys for this video. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm Lawson Turner for the Cover 2 podcast, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.